forever since I've been live on stream. Which isn't surprising, because it has been forever since I've been live on stream. Code, how you doing, man? Little quiet, huh? Alright, testing. Should be a little bit better. We're just getting set up here. Shaking off the rust. Yeah, family's doing pretty good. Just got back from another road trip, so that was fun. You surviving the heat wave over there? Still quiet, huh? Could be my end. I've made some changes. My bars are looking to be in the yellow. It should be somewhere in the middle. Testing. Let me double check something here. Could be OBS. Testing. That's odd. Moving the mic far away doesn't seem to change. Alright. We're gonna get this sorted. And they've been making a lot of updates to GDevelop lately, haven't they? I like the syntax highlighting. Testing. Okay, so very interesting. I've disabled my primary mic and it's still picking up audio from somewhere. Just testing to see if it's coming off of the web. Yeah, I bet it does make it easier for those with impaired vision. Okay, so my OBS settings look correct. Let me double check Windows. It might have done something goofy with its Windows. OBS, everything looked correct, so I had no idea that this was a problem. I would have fixed it before I started the stream. Okay. Input. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's good to be back. Miss hanging out with you. Not gonna lie. I do want to be able to be heard though, so I can chat. I disabled all the other mics, so it's not my Bluetooth or my webcam. Shiva Cartoon TV, thanks for the follow. And thanks for hopping on. Hopefully you can hear me. I was having some mic issues here. But how's your Saturday going? I'm just maxing out the volume on this. Hopefully I can be heard. I'm not really sure what's going on here. I'll turn the music down a little bit. Okay. Let's see where I left off. So, getting back into the tower defense. Been on this project forever, but haven't really been doing a lot lately. Today I'm going to add in enemy damage resistances, and that will set the ground for a lot of other things, such as, well, basically all the things I can do with like towers and upgrades and special, enemy specialties and things like that. Now I need to remember the code layout after all this time. Yeah, no kidding. That's always the worst. But you know what I did recently? I went and looked at the code version 1.0 from this game from like last year. And if I was still working in that pile of spaghetti, I would be absolutely doomed. But I think I have this one broken out enough. I can mostly remember. Okay. So I know last time you helped me, Code, you actually helped me figure out some of the targeting with the towers when we're using fire, firing bolts. be working more smoothly. Yeah, that proof of concept. Let's not go trying to reuse that. Okay. So if I open up the enemies, there should actually be a group here. Edit the group variables. And they basically already have a variable for this resistance. You're saying the bullets are still broken? Alright, let's see what's going on here. You're right. What the heck? I thought we had it working the last time. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that was a really good catch on your part. Yeah, I can turn down the music. I swear, there is something really goofy with the audio tonight. How's this balance right now with the music? Loud mic? OBS is very not happy. Can you hear me now? You can hear me. Okay. We're going to go with no music. And I'm disabling that other audio channel. And I'm going to give OBS and Windows both a talking to when we get done here. They're in trouble. Okay. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'm just going to put in some resistances. That shouldn't take too terribly long. So for example, if I take this first enemy here and give it some physical resistance, we'll make the physical resistance, let's say just like, 0.2. And if we go test this, I think when we go to am I live on Twitch? I was trying to figure something out on this. I use a platform to dual stream, but I'm not sure if it's synced up right now. And to be honest, I didn't spend much time troubleshooting that tonight. I spent no time troubleshooting that tonight, but it's supposed to, but I don't think that it is. Soon I want to I want to multicast to Twitch and to TikTok starting next week. So, in the meantime, though, oh yeah, no problem. You could follow on there, but it's pretty dead at the moment. I need to get back into this and stop delaying, and I need to resync Twitch. Check out this mug I got. I picked it up at a secondhand store. It's a Harry Potter mug. And all I could see when I bought it was this black. It was just black like this with gold. And I was thinking, that's kind of odd. You don't see the colors of like Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff and all those things. Then I filled it up with coffee and I got all these colors because it's one of those activated on heat mugs. And I realized it was pretty cool. I didn't even know it had the colors when I bought it. So my mug is half full at the moment. Simple things like that keep me entertained. Yeah, it's backwards. Okay, let's see now. Okay, so for example, if we fire the basic shot, So basically it's going to be like this. Pretty simple, I think. You'll basically just take whatever the damage is and then subtract the damage times the enemy's resistance. Oh, you just swapped over to PC? Nice. So bullets basic base damage. That is going to be what? One. So if we're going to test this out, let's make that 10. And then I think what's going to happen is the basic enemy should only take 2 damage. Or rather, they should take 8 damage. First time you turned it on this week. Yeah, how has it been? I know you were having so many problems with it. I mean, it's the first time this week, so maybe you don't know, huh? All right, let me test this out, but I want to try spawning a specific enemy type. So this will be, let's see. Enemy spawn. Yeah, not as bad lately, but it's more the 40 plus heat, so you don't want to risk it. No, that's very valid. Let me see. So it's been 40 degrees over there. That would be triple digits over here. That's insane. All right, I'm going to set this to just this type of enemy for troubleshooting, or rather for testing purposes. Yeah, I've just been doing the game jams. Do you have, I think I asked you this before, but do you have central air conditioning? Okay, that's displaying 10 damage. Enemies, resistance, physical, times. All right, let's try it this way. Just a portable AC unit, but it's in the front room. Only drops the heat about 8 to 10. Man. Yeah, that's brutal. And especially, it's kind of odd because, like, the hotter it gets, the more those have trouble competing with the heat. So it's like when you need it the most, they struggle the most. Yeah, you're right about that. UK's built for rain and cold weather. You have your hearth, get the fireplace going. Okay, so we're getting 0. Let's see here. Physical. So we have mixed values here for physical. Then for this particular enemy, actually, let me just double check that I'm spawning the correct enemy. So enemy basic 1 should have 0.2 physical resistance, 0.2 times 10 should be 2. Bullets basic base damage. What if I make that 100? What would that turn into? So it should be spawning. Oh, I see the problem. I'm spawning the wrong one. Okay. It would help if I would test the correct enemy. So now it should be, I think this will give us a value of 20, which should one-shot the enemies. Yeah, now we're getting 20. And not quite a one-shot, but pretty close. Yeah, the formula is not what I'm going to leave it at. I just did that to troubleshoot, but I think I got it solved. So these bullets are doing 100 base damage at the moment, but that right now it's being multiplied by the resistance, which is 0.2. What I'm gonna do right now is take that and subtract it from the main damage. Yeah, no, good question. What I'm going to do is, it's not too complicated. It's really pretty simple. So I'm just going to do whatever the damage is. So in this case, is just a regular, simple, quote unquote bullet or whatever. So I'm just going to do the basic damage type, which is physical. So in fact, I want to update that variable name too. Base. Call it physical. And if we give those 10 damage instead of 100. So I'm going to take the 10 damage and apply it. So set the damage to this value. Let me just copy that over. So the full amount of the damage minus the damage times the resistance. So that would be 10 times 0.2 is 2. So it'll be 10 minus 2, which would give us 8. So let's see if that works. Mind-blowing mathematics, just mind-blowing. There we go. Now we're getting 8s. So that being said, yeah, it sounds simple enough. That being said, some of these bullets are going to do, multiple damage types. So I need to solve this as well. So let's say, for example, what is a good example? I don't even know. But let's just work something into, say, the blood projectile. Better yet, let me go ahead and put in the basic formula for each of these. And so basically, for armor, I was thinking about armor. A lot of games have armor, which is sometimes physical resistance. I know that like in Diablo, they do like, armor is more akin to chance to dodge or chance to not be hit. I'm not doing that. But my version of armor is really just physical resistance, which will be calculated exactly the same as elemental resistances. Yeah, definitely there is armor built in. Oh, the damage extension does? Yeah, the health points and damage. So for that, basically, I was basically trying to avoid making it more complicated than it needs to be for my game. So what I'm going to do is basically, yeah, the health extension. I'm going to intentionally avoid using the armor extension. And I'm just going to do it basically the exact same way I'm doing the elementals. Um, but then what I'll do is I'll have like special effects, like a particular enemy might, for example, cannot be frozen, or um, it, fire absorb. So maybe fire actually heals it, things like that. So special things. So I'll basically just use a flag for those. So if they have any kind of weird special physical immunity, it'll be more of a flag than an armor in this game. And I think it'll work. Okay, so damage is set to arcane damage minus enemies' arcane resistance times the arcane damage. So now I do the same thing down here for blood. Wait, I did that the wrong way. This needs a parenthesis, go to the end, multiply, parenthesis. Why does it keep adding this stupid thing? Okay, that should work. And then also hit the save button. Yeah, so it'll be a per enemy check. I think I understand what you're asking, Code. It'll be a per enemy check. So each of the here's the stack of conditions. So per bullet, per enemy within range, and then it checks that enemy's variables. And so if we were testing out this blood one, let's go to our basic enemy, number 1, which I need to rename these at some point, but right now they're just basic. Let's give it, for the blood resistance, let's do 0.5, a nice round number. And it still has 0.2 for physical. For arcane, let's give it 0.1. These basic bros, dude. So right now, if I test this and I use the blood towers, they should be taking 5 points of damage, because that'll be 10 divided by, it'll be 10 times 0.5. And then if that works, we're going to add like another damage type. So if the bloodshot does, say, blood type damage plus physical, we're going to calculate both of those together. Taking 2 damage each. 2 damage. Why 2? Let me double check this out. Oh, you know what? I am talking out the side of my mouth. I never even checked how much damage this is doing. All right, for testing purposes, let me just set all of these actually to 10 at the moment. So S, bullets. I'm not going for any kind of balance right now. I just want to quickly test all of these. And 10 is a nice testing number. Fire damage. I'm going to ignore the holy beam damage. That's different. Holy bolt damage, we can do 10. Ice, we can do 10. Moon is going to be different. Water is going to be pretty different. Yeah, if it was forward, then 2 is correct. So we're good. Should be good there. We're accidentally good to go. You know, we had 80-mile-an-hour wind last night. These storms have been insane. There, now we're getting the 5s. Okay, so that being said, if we then also take, I think we said that enemy's physical resistance is still 0.2. So if we add this in, all right, we'll take the heat, you take the wind. Although it's been pretty toasty, I think not quite what you have. If I do the conversion here, we've got, let's see. So you said 40. So today over here it was 97, I believe. So 36. Pretty toasty, but not quite as bad as yours. Okay, and so yeah, again, let me come up here and copy the physical damage. And in this case, I actually don't want to, let's see, change the variable damage. So in this case, instead of setting it, I actually want to add. So I need to be careful here. So we're gonna basically, actually, you know what? Let me take that back. I'll start with the physical and then I'll add the blood damage. Oops, cancel that. So at 0.2, that should be, I think 13 damage. Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. We've got the AC going. It's blasting. It's raising up our energy bill like crazy. We're going broke, but we feel nice and cool. So you're correct. All right, 13 damage. Now we have a combination of physical damage and blood type damage being added together and taking into account different resistances. So I thought about maybe I could add like a whole bunch of floating numbers, but it might just be a real pain to see all that. But it's basically functionally working. So I think I'll just kind of put this into each one for now. You know where I got the inspiration for this blood? Doing the blood type damage plus physical is Diablo 2's corpse explosion. I think it does some fire plus physical. It was the first place I knew of that combination. Yeah, I'll probably put a toggle for that in the game. I have a toggle for dev tools right now. I'll probably make some of those a feature. Yeah, the Necro is OP in D2. Have you had a chance to play Reign of the Warlock yet? Yeah, I was referring to the Necro one. I guess the Barb has something like that too, doesn't he? All right, Earth. I'm not really even sure what the Earth damage is going to be, but let's just go ahead and set this to the correct formula. So come in here. Maybe it'll be easier in this editor here instead. So be minus, head in the parenthesis, copy this over, multiply it, done. Same thing for fire. Oh, gotcha. It's a lot of fun. I haven't played a ton of it, but I really like it. So if you want to lose more money and more time, I recommend it. Like stacking gems and stuff. Here, let me just pull it up real quick because now I'm. Although I should probably finish this formula so I don't lose track. Take the damage. At some point, I should just make this like an actual formula so I don't have to rewrite it everywhere. That would be the smart thing to do. And let me fire this up in the background. No, not more acts. It adds a character and then a lot of quality of life stuff. And then they reworked a few things as well. So Sunder Charms have been reworked. They're supposed to be much better. I haven't actually experienced that part yet. And they're harder to get. I don't know if you farmed any Sunder Charms when that came out, but they would drop like candy. Now they're much harder to get. There's a special monster. Basically now, the terror zones have a small, tiny chance for unique monsters to spawn a oh, what's it called? Not a warden. But it's a unique type of monster. They have a really tiny chance to spawn this unique monster, and that unique monster has a very small chance to drop the Sunder Charm. So it's more of a chase item now. It's more rewarding, and I think it does more stuff for you anyways. But one of the nice little quality of life is the stash. Because now you've got a personal tab here, but then there's a shared tab, and inside of the shared tab there are 5 pages. So that's nice and nifty. Your other characters can use that. But then there's a gems tab, and they stack now. So you can, all your gems stack. Same with runes. And then some new features. They added these shards, which go into a materials tab, and your keys and all these things can go in here. So all these mats stack in here. New features, which you can see some of them here, are these world stone shards. The cube is the same, actually. So this is just access to the cube, but that's right there. I think that's still original. I think it is. 3x4. But anyways, you can take these world stone shards, and depending on which one you activate, it will terrorize an entire zone. So the Western Shard terrorizes Act 1. Now I'm really curious. Did that, let's see, D2R cube size? I think it was always 12. Then the last thing here I'll point out, and then I'll go back to my game dev, is they added these little statues, and when you get all of them, you can basically do like I think it's like an Uber Ancients encounter, which I haven't done yet. So that's another fun thing too. Oh, and then a built-in Grail. So you have a Chronicle here. So if you're going for a Grail or tracking things you've collected. So, like for example, sets that I have discovered, or I mean, it's not sets. Uniques that I've discovered are here. %. Even rune words that you've used, which I haven't used a lot. So lots of fun stuff. Yeah, it's good for us hoarders. I'm a loot goblin and a hoarder myself, so this plays into my weaknesses. Anyways, that being said, let's do some more resistances here. Holy damage. Let's change this one. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the Uber Ancients. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then, like I said, the Sunder Charms have been reworked. And that's a pretty interesting thing. You can read up on it. The enemies that drop them, they have a very small chance to drop the charm, but they have a slightly increasing drop rate depending on how many you kill within a game before you close it out. So there's like a lot of stuff going on with it. All right, ice. Let's do ice. Again, what I'll really need to do to mature this these events is make this more of a formula that I can pretty quickly update once and then reference rather than copy pasting it into all of these. But for now, this will get us going. So moon is interesting. Moon is probably going to be a combination of physical and ice. So what I'll do here is I'm going to delete the ice one. Or I mean, whatever I had there. Then I'm going to add in, actually I need to bring in the physical one as well. Then set this one to add. And then water, we do still need to change it. Yeah, it seems. You know, No Man's Sky went on sale. I think it's on sale right now. And I've always watched it but never played it. I might throw that into my library. I don't really have time to play it, but I feel like at some point in my life I might enjoy playing it. Did you play No Man's Sky? Okay, this should be good, I think. So water. Now it's just a matter of giving all the enemies resistances, but even if they don't have any, it's not going to break anything. You keep looking at it. Yeah, it's on sale. Let me close out of this. The last time I renamed this file was in December. Christmas, actually. Whoa. What is going on with these arcane shots? They're spawning from 0, 0. What the heck? Oh, it's still incomplete. They real drunk. Yeah, I wish I could play the music. My computer's drunk too. Okay, those are going now. Those seem to be working just fine. Oh, well, I wanted to test all of the towers. I don't know why I closed it. No, I never. I haven't reported that one yet. Maybe we can do that this week. I want to. Maybe I can get with you this week over Discord so we can. I want to make sure I point them to the exact correct area. Because that should help some people. I don't know how many people are struggling with it, but. Okay, Earth towers seem pretty good. Fire should be still hitting them for 10 damage, which is insane. But that's not the point. All right, Holy Tower. It's hitting them for 10. It's still using an orange letter. Let's update that. Change the color label. Let's see, we need a yellowish color for this. So RGB, we need like, something like this, 255, 253, 116. And then I don't know why that one is still showing the bullet ID text either. Let me see. I don't want that anymore. Yeah, I think I just deleted that off of these. Let's give that a test. Let me look at the ice one too. Yeah, I am surprised nobody else has mentioned it. I think you're the first one to call that out. Oh yeah, well I guess that's another good approach too. That way there would be no need to go outside of gdevelop. Right, there we go. And now we have nice yellow damage numbers. All right, let's try, what's next? Ice. Those are still orange, but they're functioning correctly. So we want to change that one. What do we have for moon? I don't even think I have a normal anything for this. So that's going to be a little bit different. And then water is going to be different too. Let me see what I have it doing. Yeah, they're just firing basics. Okay. You worry about having too many programs running at one time. Yeah. If the PC is being temperamental, that can be a problem. $116, $233, $255. Let's try that. $233, $255. And then the moon. We can go 219s. All right, let's give these a test. Doesn't really matter that much what color these damage numbers are, but for now, we'll just make it make sense and move on. In fact, hmm. Yeah, man, it has been a while. I feel like I'm losing touch with my GDevelop roots here, and I really hate that. Um, you know, life's busy, but life's busy for everyone, and I don't like to use that as an excuse. So, it's good to be back, and I want to stay back. So, I need to use my weekly streams at a minimum to keep this project on track. So, you put the damage numbers creation on a sub event, then you can add a toggle variable to enable and disable showing the text. Yeah, I could do that. In fact, that would be a nice, easy way to do it. Have it delete any text that gets created if instances are greater than 0. Yeah, so I think the sub event I almost wonder if I could just put the sub event. No, I guess this is the best place because of the color. So take these, drag it down. So if we're talking about the basic one, then here we'll just check if this is true, show the numbers. And then to test this out, we need to do, let's go to the dev scene. Actually, I think I just need like, let's go to the dev folder here. Let me duplicate one of these thingies. Dev button, we'll say toggle damage numbers. Okay, and then let me go to the dev external layout. Obviously, it's not staying like this for the real game. It's pretty freaking ugly. Is that a choice of don't run if disabled versus delete if disabled, but costs more? Yeah, so I think if you don't run if disabled is the more efficient approach, right? All right, and so if I go to dev, I need the right here. So if one of these buttons is clicked, and we're going to toggle. Oops, I go to variable. Like this. And then let's test. Yeah, I think I've got it set up. So let's give it a shot here. Oops, I forgot something critical here. This needs to be on the dev layer. All right, so right now, they should not be showing any damage numbers. Oh, well, that's one way to do it. Look at all that damage. I didn't update the fire one. That's kind of funny, though. Yeah, no, that's a good point, because I don't want it displaying damage numbers by default. I think most players probably don't want that, especially once the game really gets going. It's going to clutter up the scene a lot. I think most players want to see those numbers. They don't need the numbers for like visual feedback to know if they're doing damage. That's what the health bars are for, which they can toggle those on and off too. Let me see here though. I didn't do this quite right here. Oh, this would be why. Yeah, most just like the HP bar. That's probably true. Okay, now if I show my tools here and I toggle the damage numbers, now we have damage numbers. Can turn them back off. Yeah. Now we need to decouple the applying the damage. Like this. All right, good call, good call. All right, so let's copy this in. I'll just need to swap out the change color label. Yeah, it will save a headache later on. You're absolutely right. For some reason, the fire is already separated. So that one's good to go. Yeah, already started doing it. Oops, wrong 3. Take this one instead. All right, we're getting there, we're getting there. All right, I think that should do. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the support there as well. Cool. All right, so what I need right now is, let me pull up a spreadsheet. Okay, so I haven't looked at this in a while, but what I'm wanting to do is identify basically all of the, I guess, like special attributes that need to be flagged for the enemies. So, for example, basically status effects. So it would be something like if an ice enemy freezes nearby towers, then the variable for that might be like freezes towers, which would need to be added into the enemies group. Splits upon death, we might call that like split on death. I don't know. In fact, I might even call it, I might preface these with something, but I don't know what. Maybe like special or something like that. I'll figure it out. I don't know yet. But for now, I just want to basically identify what all of these will be. Spawns or spawner. And then damage nearby towers. So the fire one damages nearby towers. So you might say burns towers, right? So, and then heals. Oh, the shadow mist looking enemy. Yeah, and I plan to bring more shadowy, shady stuff into the game. That's basically waiting on me to do some more Blender work. But as much as I've been away from GDevelop, I've also been away from Blender lately. So that's still on my to-do list. I want to make more shadowy stuff. Because it is dark tower defense. We need dark enemies. And hopefully I can get a very similar effect, but without requiring the use of those particles. In other words, build it into the animation. That's the hope. So I agree with you. Okay, and then, oh, so each of these does have the option to have like, tell you what, let me just make a new a page here. Let me make it not super white and bright. Take these and paste them in here. Yeah, I've got a few things started in Blender. I just haven't finished them yet. So I have a few things in the pipeline. It's just a matter of I never got to like quite synchronize like the start and the end of the animation and things like that to make it smooth. So once I do that, I can get probably quite a bit put into the game. All right, so things like cannot be frozen. And then I'm thinking like fire absorb. Which means like a percentage of incoming fire damage is converted to health, something like that. I think that's a good starting point. Let's edit the group, go to variables. Attribute cannot be frozen, for example. So if we've got, I kind of want to start renaming some of these guys. So we've got enemy basic 1. Let me just make that like skeleton 1. Or rather skeleton, that could be like skeleton basic, which is not much of a name change. But if I take enemy basic 2, now I think these guys, enemy basic 2, I was making them a certain tint, a certain color. Let me double check. Yeah, kind of red. So these will be more like the Burning Dead. So this would be what is skeleton? Skeleton burning. And so the skeleton burning will probably be more like fire absorb, something like that. This last one, I can make it more of a blue one. I think it's green at the moment. Skeleton, I don't know, cold, whatever. Let me go to where that one spawns. And there's something specific I want to do with it, so instead of green, we're going to make it more of a blue. And let's go ahead and just spawn those guys specifically. Actually, let me do a range. We'll do, let's say 1s and 2s. So we'll have skeleton burning, skeleton cold. So the jam theme this weekend is sticky situation. Oh, you had one idea, but decided it would be a longer project. Sticky situation. I'm blue, da ba dee da ba die, da ba dee da ba die. I love that song. Well, I'm thinking about splat. There's got to be a way you can use your splat slime. Like, you know, sticking to walls while you're jumping around. You know, platformer style. Some of the platforms are more like slick, so you can't stick to them. Something like that. Okay, skeleton cold variables cannot be frozen. Let's set that to true. The others will be false by default. You only have 2 ideas. What 2 ideas do you have so far? Okay, so one is a splat inspired one already. Well, we were on the same wavelength there then. Let's see. The other thing I need on these guys is group. So they have the attributes for these things, like attribute cannot be frozen, but we need another one called that is a debuff, and it will be frozen. If they get hit with an icicle, they'll get frozen. So enemies, oops, golly, I cannot type. If enemies variable cannot be frozen is false. And then also if, actually, let me think. If the debuff frozen is false, we're going to set that to true. And then we're going to start a timer. Okay. All right, so let me read the chat here real quick. You said that the first one is splat inspired. The second is you and an opponent are stuck to a wall with 4 magnets, each hand and foot. Show 3 cards. Remove 2 magnets. Remove opponent magnet or safe. Then shuffle them with an animation. Then pick a card and try not to lose all 4 or you drop into a slime bath. Okay, so it's all, kind of a bit of a 2-player roulette. Yeah, I could see how that could be interesting. Kind of a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. I mean, that sounds like definitely doable in the time frame. And it seems to be on theme as well. Sticky situation because you're physically stuck with the magnets, but it's also sticky in the sense of you're in a tough situation. So I think it's right on theme. I think it's doable in the time frame. And I haven't seen it done before. So that's not a bad idea. All right, debuffs. Here, let's add the frozen one. Let's give it a 2-second freeze. I'm not even sure if I'm using the right thing here. If the timer is greater than or equal to 2 seconds, then it will, let me see. We just change the variable. If frozen is true, okay. Set it to false. timer. Delete the frozen timer. And then also move enemy to end. This is what I want. Oh, yeah, it's the Pathfinder. You said, yeah, I think that game's definitely doable, though, Code. You said, watch you make a game that's none of those ideas. Yeah, you'll probably get started and, like, completely change it. Hey, welcome to the stream. How's your evening going? Hope you're having a good weekend so far. All right, so this is not the one I want. What I want is the Pathfinder. So if enemy Pathfinder is stuck to the enemy, and if the Pathfinder is I guess we could say if the speed is greater than 0, then we'll stop it. Doing good, working on meshing out an interior. Nice. What kind of game are you working on? Or what kind of a project? Okay, I have no idea if this is going to work. Let's give it a shot, though. Almost at the end here, folks. Just see if we can get a little bit of frozen action going on. Okay, that is absolutely not freezing. Also, yeah, that's fine. Cannot be frozen is false. Then if the variable debuff frozen of enemies is false, we're going to set that to true. And we're going to start or reset the timer frozen of enemies. If it's true, then if the timer is under 2 seconds, well, let me see, maybe even just take this out. in Godot trying to build a melee momentum-based action game system. Having troubles with hitboxing, but you'll figure it out. Interesting. A melee momentum-based action game system. Yeah, those hitboxing bugs can be really challenging to troubleshoot sometimes, can't they? Yeah, well, I hope you resolve it pretty soon. I feel your pain. Can do a path/found path check. Yeah, it's not really liking my check, is it? Although at the moment, I'm wondering if I'm not really doing a whole lot here. I'm just trying to basically stop the Pathfinder. Let me pull up the debugger real quick. Man, it's going slow right now. Okay. So enemy 0 is up here. There's an enemy ID 0 here. Let me look at the Pathfinder. You know, it's not a lot of fun. It's trying to find items here in the inspector. Like, they really need to add at least a search feature here. Okay. So I could do a check to make sure that the IDs match up. Are the enemies told to path each frame? If so, a stop won't work. I don't think it's each frame. Let me double check though. Because right here, if the variable moving to end of the enemies is false, then move the Pathfinder to the end. Change the variable moving to end set to true. So it's just one time and log the message now moving to end. So we can actually double check this in the console. I go to debugger here. Yeah, so if I run the game, which now it's running, yeah, it's not still triggering. So that is just a trigger once. What I could do, since I already have this, is just change this variable. If the variable moving to end of enemies, oh, I see what's going on. Yep, and I used the ID here as well. So if moving to end of the enemies is true, actually, no, I don't like that either. We'll just say if the variable ID of Pathfinder matches enemy's ID, and then here we'll just stop. Yeah, let's try changing the speed, see if that's better. Obviously, sometimes you get conflicting instructions for these objects, so we just need to make sure we don't have any conflicts. Don't know why that was selected. In fact, let me move this further in so we can see what's going on. Okay. I think it's working. So what's happening here is the little blue skeletons are immune to being frozen. They just take damage. The red ones can be frozen, and they'll freeze for 2 seconds at a time. So we got it. Freezing. Obviously, I can probably tell the animation to stop playing, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. All right, so tonight we've implemented damage resistance types on the enemies, and we have started to add the special attributes such as cannot be frozen and adding the ability to freeze. So, that being said, I am going to end the stream. But thanks everyone so much for hopping on. Code, pleasure as always. Great to catch up with you, bud. I'll be talking to you again this week for sure. And I'm going to stream again this week as well, back to my regular streaming, which is usually Thursday evenings. So, and you said this was a pain in one of your test games, so you needed to set speed to 0. Yeah, no, I think that's a good approach because it doesn't conflict with other like stop and start. It just is a numerical value. I think that's a nice smooth approach to it. But Yeah, GG's. Y'all take it easy, and good luck with your Godot project as well. I hope you solve the hitbox issue. Until next time, I'll catch you later, and I hope you all have fewer bugs than I do. Thanks.